everyone, and welcome to Minimalist Gourmet, where today I'll be teaching you how to make mango sticky rice. This classic Thai dessert is loved by everyone and is quite easy to make. I'm going to run you through step by step, so let's get started. Let's take a look at our rice to start with. You're going to need something that's labeled as sticky rice, glutinous rice, or sweet rice. They're all the same thing, and that's exactly what you want for this application. We're going to take a sieve and place in 1 cup of our sticky rice and rinse it very well. I'm going to do mine under running water for about 30 seconds to a minute until it runs clear. Or you can do it in a pot. Just make sure to exchange the water about 6 or 7 times until it's nice and clean. This video is actually an update from my mango sticky rice that I filmed a number of years ago. I really wanted to re-record it and do a better production quality this time around, so I hope you enjoy. Now we transfer the washed rice into a container that has a lid or something that you can cover. We're going to fill it with just enough water to cover the rice by about 1/2 inch. You want to put on the lid or cover this with a plate and soak it for a minimum of 4 hours, but really overnight is best. It's the next day and we need to steam our rice. If you have a steamer, go ahead and use it. I don't have one, so I'm going to build one out of this little pot that has a lid. I've put just a little bit of water here in the bottom of a small pot, and I'm going to use that same steel sieve that I used to wash the rice in. You want to make sure it's heat resistant and it should fit nicely in like this and allow the top to cover it pretty well. This will work great for a makeshift steamer. Just be careful to not put too much water. You want just a little bit. When you put the basket in, you want to make sure that the bottom here, that it doesn't hit that water and that there's a gap. You're not trying to boil it, so you want to make sure that the water comes just a little bit beneath the surface but does not contact the rice. Our water is boiling nicely here, and we test fit our sieve. Notice that none of the water is coming up through the bottom here as it steams away, so that's great. We're going to take our rice, which I've drained the excess water of, and place it into the sieve. If your holes on the sieve are too large, you can place a towel in here so that your grains of rice don't fall through. I like to spread this into a nice even layer so that it gets evenly steamed as it cooks. We're going to go ahead and put the cover on and steam it on this first side here for about 12 to 15 minutes. After about 15 minutes, I like to give my rice a stir. It's not absolutely necessary, but I do like to stir it up and kind of flip it over. That way it cooks perfectly even and you don't have any uncooked rice in the center. I'm going to put the lid back on and allow it to steam for about another 15 minutes. And my rice takes about 25 to 30 minutes to cook and steam fully. However, I just want to give it a little check here by eating a bit. It should be nice and soft and very sticky. If your rice isn't fully cooked, no problem. Go ahead and put the lid back on and steam it up just a little bit longer. Mine's finished, so I'm going to set it aside and pour the water out of the bottom of this pot because I'm going to make the coconut soaking liquid directly in here. 3/4 cup coconut milk goes in, 1 teaspoon of salt, and yes, you do want that much salt to contrast the wonderful sweetness of this dish, and 4 tablespoons of white sugar for sweetness. We're going to put this on medium to medium-low heat and stir it very well. You don't have to cook this at all. All you're looking to do is completely melt the sugar so that you don't have any granules in the bottom. Once the sugar is melted, you can stop heating it, and we're going to go ahead and pour our rice in here so that it can soak. Our steamed rice goes directly in, and we mix it very well. You do want to take your time here and make sure to break down all the lumps of rice and stir this until it's completely mixed. At first, it's going to look like there's way too much liquid in here and there's something wrong. Don't worry. After you mix it together and let it sit for about 5 or 10 minutes, the rice will absorb all that liquid and it'll be great. I transferred my rice to a plate because I need the pot to make the coconut topping. And speaking of, our coconut topping starts with 1/2 cup coconut milk, 1/2 teaspoon salt, and 2 to 3 tablespoons of white sugar. We're going to make a slurry to thicken this up, and we're going to use another 2 tablespoons of coconut milk, which I'm going to pour directly into my measuring cup here, and add 1.5 tablespoons of cornstarch. You want to mix this very well together until you don't see any traces of the cornstarch. We're going to set this aside while we cook our topping. Over medium heat, cook the topping, stirring it occasionally until the sugar is completely dissolved and you reach a light simmer. Once you have a simmer, make sure to stir your slurry once again so that it's all dissolved and well mixed. Now you're going to pour this in while you stir continuously so that you don't get any clumps. You're going to heat this mixture again until it reaches a simmer so that your slurry mixture can thicken it and it becomes a nice, thick, rich sauce. This is what it should look like when you're all done and ready to use it. Now we need to cut our mango. There are many ways that you can do this, but I'm going to show you a couple of my favorite techniques. We're going to begin by cutting just a little nib off the top and the bottom so we can peel this. You can hold the mango in your hand if you'd like with a towel to protect your hand and get a better grip on the mango. If you don't feel comfortable using a knife, don't worry, you can use a vegetable peeler in place, it'll work just as well. I'm going to peel just over half of the mango to include both sides, and you'll see why a little bit later on. We'll make our first cut to cut off the face we just peeled. Now, the pit runs directly in the center, so we're going to place our knife about a quarter inch just above the center of the mango, and we can use the pit as a guide. We can just run our knife along that face, and it'll cut off this entire piece of mango in one nice big chunk. You can see the pit there in the center running from top to bottom. Just cut this large face into thin slices, and it's ready to use. To remove the other half, you can repeat this process, or another technique is you can keep the peel on, set the mango straight up and down, and just cut off the face just like this. Let's set aside this pit for later. Next, you want to score the mango flesh. You're going to do this by taking your knife and cutting through just the flesh of the meat the long way and then the short way to make cubes. The important part here is that when you're cutting, don't cut so hard that you cut through the skin. You're looking to just score the meat and keep the skin intact. Once you have it cut into cubes like this, pick it up and press on the back face to spread the mango pieces out like this. Finally, to separate out the mango chunks from the mango skin, just use a spoon to separate them. Just press it in between the flesh and the skin and they pop right off. No need to cut, you already have cubes. Looking at this pit, this is why I had you peel the sides of it before we started. To remove the side pieces of meat, since we've already peeled it, all we have to do is run our knife just along the side face of that pit, and then we can cut the rest of the mango into nice little chunks, no waste. You can use one, both, or a different technique, but now you have mango ready. We're ready to plate. I'm going to place a little bit of my sliced mango down, and let's take a look at our rice. It has absorbed all of that coconut soaking liquid and is ready to go. Don't forget, the recipe is always included in the description below, so definitely go down and check that out. While you're down there, maybe give this a like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. I'd really appreciate it. Add a few scoops of our coconut rice to the side of the mango before we put a little bit of our coconut cream sauce all over the top. Now, you can put as much or as little of this as you'd like on it. I love it. I think it tastes nice and sweet, and it complements this dish so well. So I like to put a little bit on top of the mango as well as a little bit more on top of my rice. Finally, we're going to top these with some salted mung beans. If you've never had these before, they're very traditional here in Thailand on this dessert. They look a little bit like Rice Krispie treats, have the texture of a peanut, and are nice and salty. They're a wonderful contrast in texture and saltiness to the sweet, creamy mango and coconut. We're going to sprinkle a little bit on top of the rice as well as the mango. And there you have it, guys. It really is just that easy to make this delicious Thai dessert in your home kitchen tonight. Trust me, your friends and family are going to love it. Thank you so much for watching today. I really do appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I'd like to see each and every one of you here next week on the next episode of Minimalist Gourmet.